Hello and welcome to the first episode of a new podcast that we're launching here at DHI. My name is Namgyal and I'll be hosting today's session. We started this podcast in hopes of starting a series of ongoing conversations with the people here at DHI, talking about their work streams, not just projects that are relevant to DHI and its group of companies, but also that have national level impact. So today, on this first episode, we're going to be talking about exactly that. I have my colleague Tshering Wangzom here with me, who's been working on RiKhaNET, which is a project we've just launched in the Nubi Gewog in Trongsa. So Tshering, thank you for being here and for being the first guest. Maybe you can take a few minutes to introduce yourself first.
Thank you, Namgyal. My name is Tshering Wangzom, and I've been working in Inotech department under DHI for around 5 years now. And my background is in engineering, but I have been looking after Namgyal T Superfab Lab, which is in Bavisa, and also been running a lot of programs and also looking into research and development that happens in the Inotech department.
Okay, Tshering, my first question to you is, what is RiKhaNET?
RiKhaNET is an acronym that stands for Real-Time Integrated Knowledge on Habitat and Animals Network. It's a conservation plus human-wildlife conflict mitigation app that we are trying to build. So it's a pilot project that we are actually be launching in Nubi Gewog, and the main focus animal that we are working on is tiger. So I think recently there has been a lot of conflicts regarding tiger in Nubi Gewog. So with a lot of consultation, we have decided that it will be in Nubi Gewog. And RiKhaNET is also, Rikha, it means wildlife, wilderness. So that's how we also came up with the name. We didn't want this to sound very Bhutanese, but we also wanted it to be catchy. So that was also the reason the name RiKhaNET.
So essentially, it's a tool that will help farmers and communities address challenges with wildlife, right?
Yeah, so before actually we wanted to build a conservation tech, so we didn't have a lot of knowledge on conservation or human-wildlife conflicts. So we did 2 rounds of consultation, and we realized that the problems. So one of the problems that we realized was that there's the villagers or the community, they don't get real-time alerts or the reporting system, or maybe it's even harder for rangers to actually collect the data on human-wildlife conflict. So we wanted to solve some of those. So targeting those problems, we designed our projects, and we thought, how can we use the experience in our department on our colleagues, and how can we use technology to actually develop a solution for the community, the rangers, and for the country as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And how does this solution work for the community and the rangers? Can you take us through a step-by-step of how they would experience this RiKhaNET?
Okay, so we actually took a lot of experience from DOFPS and how they had did it in the past. So they import a lot of camera traps from outside, and what happens is that they keep it in the forest for months, and then they go there manually to collect the data, and then they count the number of tigers, right? Or maybe Thokpa or GUP, or maybe through social media, they actually share it to the rangers, the information on the conflict that has happened. So we thought about how can we make it real time. So camera trap was something it was very necessary for this project. So camera traps that are being imported are very expensive, and we after doing a lot of desktop research, we realized that it can be made in a much cheaper price, and so we will be using camera traps, but we have experience in developing IoT, and AI/ML is also something that we have experience in. So we are thinking about how can we use IoT and AI/ML. So using camera traps with sensors, like motion sensors or even sound sensors, we want to capture the image of the tiger, and then maybe the device itself will have HAI installed in the camera, or maybe we'll have AI separately. But we are thinking about, after capturing the image of the tiger, it will get processed, and then it will say that it's a tiger or any maybe tiger prey, or it's a human walking in the forest, and the data will be sent to the ranger, and the ranger will decide whether to send the alert or not. because sharing the information of tiger is also very critical. Like sometimes it also leads to unnecessary problems. So rangers will be the one deciding if the information should be shared to the community. So we're also thinking about how can the information be sent to the communities as fast as possible. So we are thinking about maybe an application development, or maybe it will be an SMS messages that will be sent to the community members about the location of the tiger, or maybe a geofence location of the tiger, maybe not exactly the exact location of the tiger to the community, so that they can swiftly decide if they want to take their cattle to the field, or if they want to decide, oh, maybe there's a tiger lurking around the school, so they will decide close the school. Or yes, those are the things that we thought about how the tech will work. But as I said before, this is a project that has just been piloted, and we have actually 2 years to develop the project and implement and test. So the project might change and it might get evolved.
You talked a little bit about the experiences that we've built in AI and IoT. For those that are tuning in that are unfamiliar with DHI and also DHI Inotech, you and I have been working with the department for almost 8 years now in terms of building technology. Can you talk a little bit about DHI's efforts in building technology, and also how the team kind of landed on conservation tech as a priority?
I think it was last year that DHI also launched DHI 10x roadmap. So one of the pillar is innovation strategy. We have been talking about how we are, through our learned experience, there is no innovation ecosystem in the country, and who are the players and what needs to be done, right? So when Inotech department was launched, we wanted to develop technology in the country, develop a talent pipeline in the country, right? So because of that, in 8 years, I think we have built a good team and we have a couple of verticals in which our team is very good at. So some of them are, one of them is IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, drone, even digital fabrication. So we have experience in building our own software to hardware and actually launching them in the field. So because we actually have the capacity, and conservation as a whole is also is huge in the country, right? But with conservation, one of the major problems that is coming up is human-wildlife conflict. So how can we, as Inotech department, can solve this issue for the country? So I think that was the question that we asked ourselves. And when we saw the opportunity to develop conservation technology, we realized that this is something we can do it for the country, and we can do it at a much cheaper scale. But also, this is something that's needed. A conservation tech coming out of Bhutan has a huge potential to scale, and also our dependence on external technology when it comes to conservation is very large, or maybe it's completely external. So the data that is also the data that we can get from our biodiversity is also something very valuable. So I think that is also how we actually decided to develop conservation tech.
So when you're talking about building technology for the country, and specifically for rural communities, one of the most consistent challenges that come up for us is the data safety as well as community safety. What are some of the governance frameworks, and what are some of the data safety frameworks that are being incorporated in this project?
So as I said before, we did a lot of consultation rounds, and we do realize that we don't have the expertise in conservation or about wildlife, and also in terms of safeguarding, because we haven't worked with community before. So when we were working on this project and wanted to launch this project, we actually onboarded 2 partners. One is WWF Bhutan, and another one is Department of Forest and Park Services. So with WWF Bhutan, we will be actually adopting their safeguarding policies and also grievance mechanism, which will be actually actively adopted by DHI for this project. And because there is a lot of risks when it comes to working with community, and we need to make sure that that is understood by our team, and also that they should know that there is a place for feedback. So that's why we have adopted WWF's policies. In terms of data, because this data is on nature and wildlife, is whatever data is that is being collected from our project is going to DFPS is going to own that. We also signed an MOA with both the parties, and so through that MOA, this project is going to be executed.
So I think you talked a little bit about working for the next 2 years on this project that's focused on tigers. Once this is successful, what does the scale up look like? Are we able to include other species, other parts of Bhutan? And in terms of how we're sustaining the project as well, if you could comment a little bit on that.
So firstly, because this project, the primary focus for now is tiger, and we are only piloting this in one village, which is Nubi. But even for me, I recently found out that Bhutan is the wildlife corridor for tiger. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, but then the tiger conflict is happening, I think, in different areas or different districts in the country. So maybe we will try to scale the project in different. Even Nubi is very big, so we will most probably be launching it only in one of the Chiwoks. But if we see that there is potential, we will be actually scaling it to different villages and maybe across the country. Just if you look at human-tiger conflict, but then it's an AI. The backbone of the project is AI, so we need to train the project, train our project for not just tiger but its preys, right? So ultimately, we will be collecting data on other species, and there's huge potential to actually scale it to other species. And if you look at human-wildlife conflict in the country, tiger is not a huge problem. Maybe elephants and wild boars and monkeys, they are also there, right? So the potential also lies here. But for now, we want to pilot it for tiger and parallelly develop it for elephant, maybe, because that has also been a huge issue recently. So that's the plan. And because the country is already investing a lot of money in important tech from outside, so if this project is successful, we see the potential for not importing those tech but using the technology that is built by us.
And is there also possibility to export some of this tech outside as well?
Definitely, because Bhutan is well known in terms of conservation. A tech like RiKhaNET coming out of Bhutan, I feel like it will have Mingtam and also potential. So let's see what happens in 2 years, but we are very positive.
So this is obviously a very exciting project, and we kind of touched upon it earlier as well, but maybe the question that's remaining is, how does this all fit into DHI's 10X efforts?
If you look at DHI 10X, I think I said it before, but there's also innovation strategy. But if you look at the pillar of innovation strategy, or if you look at the innovation triangle, there's drivers, enablers, facilitators, right? But there's also something as a foundation, Center of Excellence for Research and Development. In Inotech department, we have been trying to do that, but I would say that and we have been incubating a lot of technology, but we haven't been able to scale it outside of Bhutan. We have been launching it in the country, but then for RiKhaNET, I find this project a little special because it has the potential and we have stakeholders on board, and we also have enough time to actually develop the technology. So if you look at the foundation, which is COE for Research and Development, I feel that RiKhaNET is something that will fall under that. So given the time, we can actually develop our own technology and scale it outside of the country. So maybe 2 years might not be enough because we need to collect a lot of data and make sure that it actually works, right? So with enough time and effort, I think that we should be able to generate a tech that is scalable, and we should be able to generate our IP. So eventually, when it comes to economic development through 10X, I think we need to generate IP. So maybe through RiKhaNET, that will have intellectual property, or we will have intellectual property for RiKhaNET. So maybe through that. But if we are able to set up this project and scale it up, it also builds a talent pipeline, right? People have the opportunity to work in this field, not just in terms of in conservation or nature, but they can actually see how they can actually develop tech in the country for conservation. So we are also building a talent pipeline through that. And so, yeah, I think that's my answer.
So thank you so much for joining us on this episode today. I think this is a really great project that gives us a lot of insight into why DHI's 10x roadmap isn't solely focused on the monetary aspects, but also features some of other avenues such as human capacity development. We're trying to create value through technology and also trying to solve some of Bhutan's issues by using technology. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We hope to have very similar conversations with other interesting individuals and other interesting projects in the future, so please stay tuned for that.